Now, Democratic Congresswoman Madeleine Dean of Pennsylvania. She currently serves on both the House Appropriations and Foreign Affairs committees. Congresswoman, we'll just start there. What's your reaction to this Signal group chat? Not just the fact that a journalist got added to it, but the fact that top administration officials are sharing war plans and classified information outside of a SCIF and outside of the traditional ways that you would share that information securely.
It's staggering, the level of incompetence, but the level of danger. Imagine classified information being passed in this way, hours before the actual strike. That put military members at risk. And so I'm stunned that the speaker is saying things like, no one was jeopardized, they're doing a good job. Let's have an investigation, immediate investigation to find out what was going on here. How could they so cavalierly be sharing this information? Something that I want to understand better is, how do you get classified information over to a Signal chat? It's very hard. When I have been in classified briefings, you don't leave with any of the paperwork.
You're not even allowed to have your phone usually.
Not allowed to have phones, smartwatches, anything. But this is staggering, and we need an investigation. The lack of seriousness of this group, and it was stunning the number of top-level people in this administration who were on there. We thought in the first administration they were incompetent, didn't know what they were doing. It's worse now. They really don't know what they're doing. And really what is so important is the fighter pilots, the military personnel who were put in direct jeopardy.
Well, I also think the other piece of this is, will there be a probe? We've heard, of course, from Jim Himes on the Intel Committee, some Republicans saying that they want answers here, but will it be enough? And do you think, in conversations that you've had privately with your Republican counterparts, that even if the speaker is out there being, I would say, cavalier about this, just calling it an error or a mistake, do you think that there is an appetite within the rank and file to actually just ask some questions about how this could have happened?
I know there's appetite and a demand from the Democrats that there be a full, thorough investigation of what went on and what other Signal chats have happened. Who else has been listening in, and what have they gotten? Malign actors. What if Iran or Russia or China, anyone was listening in? I hope the Republicans, every single one of them, right up to the Speaker of the House, says, you're absolutely right, we need an investigation. Our other problem, though, is take a look at who should be doing the investigation. FBI, DOJ, how compromised they are, how loyal and the fealty that they show for this president. I'm very concerned about our Attorney General. Instead of going after Tesla terrorism, as she's calling it, they're crimes, they're important to investigate. What is she going to do about this investigation, about top-level people? They must be held to account for sharing classified information that could have put our military in grave danger, could have cost them their lives.
What can Democrats do to actually force this issue, though? Because we've talked a lot about the constraints of being in the minority. It relies on the fact that there is bipartisan good faith in wanting an investigation, in pressing things like violations of the Espionage Act, like violations of the Presidential Records Act, which clearly, if there are disappearing text messages, that would be in violation of that. What can Democrats actually do to press this?
I'll tell you what, we have to be noisy and bold and call it out. But I'll also tell you, my constituents want to make sure this is investigated. I have a lot of constituents who have members in the military, family members in the military. They are appalled and outraged. So I'll tell you, Congress, the courts, and my constituents and constituents across this country are going to demand the truth about this. I sit on the Foreign Affairs Committee.
Yeah.
You know the number of times we have had hearing after hearing demanding transparency on other issues.
Well, I remember conversations about a certain server.
That's correct.
That come to mind.
Think of that over and over again. So this is staggering. There aren't really good enough words, but what we do know is that the people on that call need to be held to account. How is it the chief of staff let that go on? We thought she was coming in with great competence, the ability to direct people and to rein them in when they didn't understand what they were doing. You know, we were concerned with Pete Hegseth as the nominee for Secretary of Defense. We were concerned that he didn't know what he was doing. It's very clear he doesn't know what he's doing. At the best is to say he's incompetent. At the worst is to say this is malign action by folks within the top levels of this administration. The vice president was on that chain. Think of it. It's staggering. We need answers, transparency, and we need accountability. Somebody needs to get fired, and not just fired and dismissed, fired and understand exactly what went on here.
Who would that person be?
I don't know. That's why we have to investigate.
The other piece of this, too, is you're coming off of being home during a congressional district work period, basically a recess when you're not here in D.C. What were you hearing from your constituents? It was too late for this story to have broken. You were already back in Washington, but a lot of conversation, my understanding, is about DOJ and the cuts there.
Oh, absolutely. My constituents are up in arms. We had a Medicaid roundtable when I was back home last week, talking about the number of people who rely upon Medicaid for investments in their future. I had somebody in recovery there who is 7 months in recovery. Charles, so proud of him because he was getting services through Medicaid. We cut that. 100,000 Pennsylvanians are receiving Medicaid for recovery services, for mental health services. We have a Veterans Roundtable. Veteran suicide is a very serious problem. As you and I were chatting, women vets are committing suicide, or dying by suicide, I should say, at an increased rate. This is serious stuff.
Yeah.
And yet we're going to cut the VA. We're going to cut the emergency hotline training. My constituents are gravely concerned. And the word they use is, I'm afraid, I'm scared.
Yeah.
And so Democrats will hold these folks to account.
A lot of palpable frustration and demands for accountability and
Absolutely.
fear. Congresswoman Madeleine Dean of Pennsylvania.